Hello, party people. Um, I let it sink in for like a couple hours or so. Just came back from a gym. Um, I had to think about this before I made this video. It's trivial, but hey, whatever. Um, I just finished, well, sometime around 6 a.m. I finished The Last of Us Part 2. And many of you know that Genshin Impact is my primary game, my top priority. Obviously, The Last of Us is not like a 100+ hour RPG, but okay, I will warn there may be possible spoilers. I'll try my best not to let the beans spill. I um at one point I was borderline speechless. Um, I had an idea of the way the game was gonna end, and then it just went in a completely different direction. Um, I'm sorry. Um. So I thought I wasn't gonna like this part with There's two protagonists. Um. Technically, Ellie is the main one. Now, the the game itself pits the two protagonists against each other, and when you're fighting, you're only controlling one of the protagonists. There's no villain here. You can argue that the protagonists are villains themselves, and it's like when you're controlling one, you feel bad about fighting the other. But are you partial to a certain character? Of course. I mean, Ellie was in The Last of Us Part 1, and you see, I didn't think I was gonna like this. I didn't think I was gonna like a new character being introduced that I didn't know anything about. None of us knew anything about this person. This is a completely new character. Um, I this is storytelling at its finest. You would. This is what I thought. I thought that the new character was. I wasn't gonna like them. I didn't want to be controlling them. I didn't want to be playing as them. And as the story develops, somehow Naughty Dog, the game, makes you have compassion for this new character. You actually form a bond with this new character. And you start to question, is Ellie the villain? You start to question, are the other supporting characters behind each side, are they misguided? Are they wrong? Are they the evil ones? And to sum up what this entire game is about, in my opinion, it's about a vicious cycle of revenge. But they don't think of it as revenge. They think of it as redemption. Correcting a wrong that should never have happened. the ending has so many parts to it. Granted, there's not multiple endings. As far as I know, there's not multiple endings. There's just multiple parts to the ending. And these characters that, like, you know nothing about versus the characters that you do know things about. Like, when I was playing as the two protagonists fighting each other, I was like, I feel bad for attacking this other character because I don't want to harm this character I formed a bond with, that I followed the story with. And I thought it would have been cool if you could switch manually between the two protagonists and literally switch them during the same fight, and like you could dictate who wins. But that's not the way the story was supposed to be. That's not the way the developers made the story. Do I agree with their decision? I mean, yeah, but do I think it could have been better if you could actually choose like who you wanted to win? But I understand that would have been the story would not have been as effective, or possibly not. As a Genshin player, I applaud the storytelling. Most people play Genshin because of the storytelling, not because of the gameplay, not because like the addictiveness, the gacha, the gambling of it. We play Genshin because there is no other game that can make you sympathize, make you accustomed to a character in like 10 minutes. And what Naughty Dog does in The Last of Part 2, it makes an entire span of the game developing the same characters over and over. And as things change, you have to I don't want to say you have to pick a side, but like when you're playing the game and you're wondering, am I supposed to be attacking this other character? This character is supposed to be the good character. Or, you begin to question the lines of right and wrong. And I mean, I'm pretty sure I'll get the platinum for this. It's gonna take a while. Like, I need a break. It is an emotional roller coaster, and the whole theme of vengeance and avenging someone, it consumes the whole game. And when you think you're doing the right thing, you start to question whether, as a player in the game of the story, are you doing the right thing? Should you lose purposely just to see what happens because you don't want harm to come to the character you may be partial to? You may agree with a certain character more than the other. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure there's people out there who take the new character side. There's people out there who take the main character side. And I use the term main character loosely because I question I question who this game was supposed to be about. The way the story ends, you are provided your answer. But the damage has already been done. And you begin to question whether the vengeance is justified or not. Should you achieve the vengeance? if you could control the way the game ended, there's certain things players of the game, in my opinion, would alter. And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. It's just the feeling that you're not in control of these characters. These characters are in control of you. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that in a game. Me personally, I have not. I have never been so torn between the outcomes of characters that I played The Last of Us like when it was out on PS3, PS4. I didn't play The Last of Us Part 1, the somewhat remake reboot on PS5. I'm thinking about getting it now, but anyway, I was so speechless at the ending because it leaves room for a Last of Us Part 3. But even if the game stopped at where it was right now, the ending to this game will haunt you. Not in a bad way. If you're more partial to certain characters, it might. But in general, at the end of the day, you're like, two wrongs don't make a right. But is returning a wrong, is avenging it, is that right? And you feel one way at the beginning of the game, and you feel a completely different way by the time the game ends. It's not that you don't want the game to end. You want the game to end in the way you want it to end. But that doesn't happen. I mean, like, is this game a masterpiece? Overall, I'm gonna say no. In terms of storytelling, I don't know how the developers took these random ass characters, introduced so many different new characters, and you were able to empathize with them. You were able to sympathize with them. You had so much empathy for these fucking 2D characters made of pixels. I will say on a sidebar, when the gameplay shifts to a cinematic, it is seamless. When it's a cinematic, you think you are still playing the game. And I've never seen graphics like that do that. Like in Genshin Impact, for example, when the regular battle ends and a cutscene comes, it becomes HD or 4K, whatever the fuck it is, and you can tell you're in a cutscene. You can't tell. I can't tell, at least in The Last of Us Part 2. Now, again, I'm really trying not to have spoilers in this, because even if I did include spoilers in this, I would feel bad about making this rant of a video about spoilers that might potentially sway someone's opinion before they played the game. And I think this game is like getting every time there's a sale on this game, I feel like it comes into the mainstream a little bit more. It returns. I don't want to say it's, excuse me, I don't want to say it's about how evil people can be. All these negative emotions and just throwing common sense, right and wrong, justice out the window. How consumed with vengeance can you be? When does it stop? When do you say enough is enough? I'm gonna let this one go. But what if you couldn't let it go? There were so many themes in this game that a lot of other different genres, different types of games, different age groups for games never explore. Is this game a minor friendly under 18 game? No, it's not. Like I mentioned, I think before in the past, there is a lot of gore and an enormous amount of blood in this game. And I think for people who haven't seen as much of that, the gruesomeness, the grotesqueness of it, you're gonna be surprised. It's been a while since I saw a game that violent. But what I realized is the violence was a reflection of what you personally consider as evil. Because one person's definition of evil might be different from another player's. Me personally, there were some things I would have changed about the ending. There were other things that I would have left untouched. Now, is this a perfect game? Hell no. I mean, some of the Naughty Dog games have, like in Uncharted, there's exploits, there's bugs, there's all this shit, and it doesn't take away from the game though. It's kind of distracting, but like, I don't think people are here for the gameplay of this game. I think they're there for, they want to find out what happened. What happened between the end of part 1 to the beginning of part 2. And you get glimpses of that, which is also cool. You get flashbacks and like when the character's dreaming or having a nightmare. And it's because when you're playing a game, right, and there's some random enemy with like, you know, a rifle or something. When you kill that enemy, you're not thinking, does this enemy have a family? Does this enemy protecting someone? Are they supposed to save someone? To alter the course of time, and you know what I mean? And there is so much murder, straight up murder, and it's like some Ja Rule murder up in there. And there is murder INC all over the fucking place. And we're not even just talking about the infected. Okay, so let's look at the infected, right? They were people before. Just like zombies, if you want to equate to that. Now, there's no cure. If you watch part 1 the way it ends, you see, I don't want to mention that because, like, if you haven't played part 1 either, then like, but all I'm saying is, no one is innocent in this game. Not even some of the kids, some of the younger characters. Now, I will admit, I did say before that the story did not grab me right away in like chapters 1 and 2 or something, because it was an introduction, and I personally thought, I was like, you know, this seems like it's gonna be a long game. The beginning seems kind of boring, but when I went back to the game and I set aside a block of time where I knew I wasn't gonna be interrupted, and I could just play until I had to take a break, because like there, not just because of physically, because there is so much emotional damage that happens in the whole game. Characters you're expecting to live, they fucking die, and like you can't predict some of them, and when it happens, it's a shock. You're shocked that this 2D model of a character in 1080p or whatever um isn't alive anymore. You can't interact with that character anymore. And you just think to yourself, what if? What if this person didn't die? What if I didn't kill that person? Does the story change at all? What if I go stealth the whole time and I don't kill any enemies? I just go through an entire game dodging the patrols, not firing my gun at all at any time, not shooting an arrow, not throwing a bomb. You're just fucking dodging everything. And that would work in a stealth game. Now, despite what other people might think, I don't think this is a stealth game. Now, I was playing on very light difficulty, so basically very easy. But I did that mainly because the description said this difficulty, this game mode, is for players who want to enjoy the story more, while without having to retry levels over and over, retry encounters, battles, etc. The way I experienced this story blew my fucking mind. And the ending, oh my god, I would have changed the ending so differently, but like I know it would have taken away from the vision Naughty Dog had of this game. And I think they're coming out with a multiplayer DLC soon, so that's something to look out for. Am I gonna do grounded mode? No, fuck no. I mean, like one of my subscribers, I think his name was Harvey O'Hare or something like that. I don't know. Well, shout out to him. He told me about an exploit, supposedly where you have one-shot kills, unlimited ammo. So basically, all you have to do is dodge, and like you can get through the whole game ungrounded. There is a trophy in the DLC for grounded mode. There's 2 trophies: grounded mode and beat the game with any permadeath setting. Permanent death. If you die in the last chapter of the game, you have to restart the whole game over. It bothers me how much stress that would be on me. That's why I'm not doing it. Well, never say never. I don't know what else, what other praise, what other clarification I can give for this game. Like, I don't want to say you feel the same emotions the characters might be having at a time. Sometimes that does happen. But most of the time, me personally, I was like, this is so fucked up. Like, I understand they're bloodthirsty and they want to. Everyone wants a happy ending. Not that kind of happy ending. Everyone wants closure. Everyone wants to see the way the game is intended to end. There are so many doors left open with this ending. Logically, it's because there would be a part 3. Why part 2 took so long, I have no idea. People were asking about the sequel for a long time. Maybe it took them that long to make it. Like I said, the game's not perfect, but the storytelling is close to perfect. Is this the closest thing I've seen to perfection in video games, that is? Like, I mean, like, at one point when the credits were rolling, I was still thinking about the ending, and I was still like, my adrenaline was still rushing. Like, I was still in battle. I was still in the final fight of the game. And I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I'm overpraising it, the storyline or the game in general and overall. But this was something special. And it bothers me that there's going to be people out there, or people who already played the game, and they're like, why did they do that? They didn't have to do that. They could have did it this way. And honestly, it's sort of like, if you can think of a better ending or a better game overall, why aren't you making it? Why aren't you a game developer? Okay, I get it. You paid an exorbitant amount of money for this game, probably. You probably got the deluxe edition, blah blah blah. There's a reason you cannot return video games that are not defective. Now, one point I will bring up is this. When The Last of Us, not part one, but just the title of the game was The Last of Us. When it first came out, certain parts were borderline unplayable. At least that's what the rumors were. But they fixed it, and it made the game obviously better. But it was already good. Now, if you look at a game like Cyberpunk, before it got fixed, that game started off as shit and played through as shit. If you could get to the fucking ending without bugging out, without the game crashing. It's like I have this weight on me right now. And I want to give it to someone else so they can experience that the way I did. But the reality is, no one's experience with this game is going to be the same. Now, there might be similarities, but there's always going to be differences. It's haunting. Not in a bad way, necessarily. I know that has a negative connotation to it. I mean, you can call it a number of adjectives. You can call it gripping. You can call it deprecating. You can call it disturbing. And I never encountered. You see, I want to say a series, but this is not a series yet. In my opinion, you need to have at least a trilogy to be a series. But this part 1 and part 2, if anyone is gonna ask me this question, I'll answer it right now. Which was better? Part 1, not the remake, The Last of Us period, or The Last of Us Part 2. This is the obvious answer, but Part 2 exceeds all expectations. It exceeded my expectations. I thought this game was going to be so-so. Frankly, I just wanted to find out what happened. I just wanted to be like, if you watch some of the trailers, that some of the trailers they have don't even appear until much later in the game. And that was ingenious, in my opinion. I was wondering, why did they make these trailers if these cutscenes aren't going to be in the game? And when I realized it, I mean, is being vengeful, of course that's a negative feeling. But can you ever justify vengeance? If someone is murdered and you hunt down the murderer and you kill them, you can't change the past, but do you let it go? Do you just say, you know what, this is over now, let's just go home? Or do you say, there needs to be justice? But the problem is, that is not justice. That is being a vigilante. And I understand in a post-apocalyptic world, like, all bets are off. In terms of being decent, in terms of abiding by laws that don't exist anymore. Where do you cross the line? Where do you stay behind that line? And when you just run right over it, you just move as fast as you can over the line to do what you think is right. In a post-apocalyptic world, does right and wrong even exist? The emotional roller coaster you get, like, I felt so drained, but in a good way, by the end of this game. And just when you think you scratch the surface of it, the surface gets bigger, it gets stronger. And you're constantly like, what do I have to do to find out what happens next? And like, this unlike Uncharted, for example, another game Naughty Dog does a series for, there's no ridiculous puzzles. There's no supernatural shit besides those spores and the plant monsters, whatever the fuck they are. I mean, I want to say wow, but I don't think that does it justice. I don't think that's enough. Now, I know it might seem like I'm overly praising this game. I'm overpraising the themes of it. Again, the emotions that you experience. Dude, like, it's crazy because I want more now. I want to know what happened after the credits rolled. I watched the entire credits. What was I hoping for, a bonus scene? I mean, maybe, but I knew there wasn't gonna be one. I just put down the controller as the credits were rolling, and I just let it all sink in. I was like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do this? Wouldn't that have made more sense? It's, you see, like in games that are violent, that involve murder, killing, this game makes you question, is it okay to go around murdering characters that might be an essential part of this game? And if you do, it makes you feel bad. It's almost like it's encouraging and at the same time discouraging killing, assault. And in every video game most of us have played, you just murder the enemies, whether they be humans or, you know, zombies or whatever, and you don't bat an eyelash. You don't think twice. But when it means more than just human life, when it means camaraderie, when it means a battle buddy, when it means being a part of something bigger, like a group, like an association, like the Fireflies, for example, or You know, on there's I can't explain it. It feels like there's a great weight on me, but at the same time, there's a great weight off of me. Now, this game has art. No, I don't know if it's best to call it chapters, but this game has like, I don't know, close to 50 chapters. Let's say that. I don't want to give an exact amount. Um, those chapters aren't necessarily long, and the fucking collectibles, like that reminds me. The one thing I will bring up is like the collectibles that actually add to the story are fine. They're fine. But when I'm running around, like what am I doing? I'm picking up quarters, the state quarters. That's what one of the characters does as their collectible. They pick up coins. And I'm like, why is that even a collectible? That's like some shit you just throw in there to make people keep playing the game. But the point is, when you buy the game, you don't have to put any more money into it unless you want to. So I don't understand what Naughty Dog's plan about that was. But it was so excessive, and that really, like, my favorite chapters were the ones with no collectibles in them. And because I could just stop using the collectible guide, stop roaming around all over, like exploring all of the goddamn space looking for a fucking trading card for some sort of fucking trading card game. What is this, Genshin Impact? Anyway, I don't know what to say, what else to say about it. Is this my favorite game of all time? Hell no. Is the story one of the best stories that was ever told in video games? Yes. This story, regardless of who the characters were or are, whether they lived or died, how do you get so attached to these characters that you just want them to get along for the greater good of things? And when that doesn't happen, it's like, what the fuck is going on in the story? Why are there two sides to this, proverbial coin? I gotta look up some reactions to this game, because like I just want to know out there if anyone experiences this game, the ending, the way I experienced it. I want to know if there's people out there who agree with me that there's some fucked up shit in this game. The game itself is probably I forgot how many hours, but obviously it's double digit hours, but and more if you play grounded mode, like, cause gotta retry the shit over and over. It was a roller coaster, man. Like, there were some parts, I'm not afraid to admit this, there were some parts that gave me the feels. There were some parts that made me really fucking sad. There were some parts that made me really fucking angry. And all I could do was keep my character alive, the one I was controlling at the time. All I knew was, I have to reach the goal of this level and go to the next level, because I want to see what happens next after that. I've been playing this game over the course of maybe like 1 or 2 weeks. it I didn't part of me didn't want to rush it. I didn't want to be like, I gotta get through this part as fast as possible. But part of me actually did, because I wanted to find out what happened next. So were there times when I was rushing through the fucking story, like just knifing everyone on very light difficulty? I'm hitting them with pipes and these fucking... It was just, man, it was a crazy fucking game, yo. I mean, in a way it sucks that the story has to stop for now. In a different way, part of me is glad it's over, because it was like a burden, and every level you got past reduced the weight of that burden a little bit, and by the end of the game, the only thing left is, does that burden still exist? Did it actually get heavier, or is it not even there anymore? From my point of view, the burden was still there. It might have been the same weight, but the characters are never gonna forget what happened as a result of blah blah blah. It's almost like you want more control of the situations in the game, but you can't, because it's not that kind of game. And like, it's not like it's VR. It's not like you can go around touching everything. You can try, but I sort of equate this. I know this comparison's been done before, but just bear with me here. The Walking Dead, right? Now, they've made spin-off games of that universe, that storylines, and you have to ask yourself, who did it better? I'm not the hugest Walking Dead fan. I mean, I've seen a few seasons here and there, but there's something about playing the game itself, and The Last of Us, that series is starting, so I don't know how I can just be like, okay, I'm done with this game now. I'm never gonna touch it again. Even as a trophy hunter, let's say I got all the trophies. Let's say I did ground and mow and permadeath, and I somehow beat them both. What's next? What else is left? What else is there? It's FOMO, man. It's fear of missing out. I will admit, I waited for this game to be on an awesome sale, which at one point it was. I think it was only like, I think I bought it for $20, and the retail price was still $60. It was a PS4 game, so even though I was playing on my PS5, which in my opinion made the experience more awesome. I wish I could unload all these true feelings onto anyone watching this video, because I need to know, am I the only one who thought that way about whatever? Am I the only one that felt this or that? What do you think, or what do I think was the way things were supposed to be? as majestic as this might sound, how much of this was fate? How much of this was so and so was meant to die? How much of this was so and so was meant to live? And it's just like, there's just so much, there was so much bloodshed. Oh my god. And like, you assume all the enemies, like, you know, the random NPCs or whatever, you assume they're disposable. But if they all were disposable, why do you feel bad when you can't control them anymore? Why do you feel bad when they're not in the story anymore? And maybe feeling bad is not the right term. Maybe wondering, just trying to figure out, was that supposed to happen? Wasn't there, did it go down the way it had to go down like that? And all these questions, I don't have the answers to these. Like, this, in a way, the game overall, not just the ending, but overall, raises more questions than it answers, as cliche as that might sound. And I wish I had the answers, but I don't. I feel like this game is very much who you're attached to. I'm sure there's some people who played the original and they were just like, this is pretty fucked up. Like, some people probably hated it. Of course there's critics out there. There's people that are not gonna like these games. But the overwhelming majority of people will. Like, if this game was trash, why was it a bestseller? Think about it. Think about that. This would have been a horrible game to spoil. That's why I'm being so cautious about this. I've been so speechless at so many times throughout the game. Yes, there's multiple times where you're speechless, not just the ending. And I mean, you can say it's just a video game, but the emotions it extracts from you, that's a story. It's not a video game, that's a story. Now, if there was a book about the same storyline with the same emotion, it would be a best-selling book. There's no doubt in my mind. But as a video game, it's a different experience. It's arguably a better experience. Normally, I don't obsess about a game, especially the sequel to a game that took goddamn forever to make. This was something special, though. And for people who are just never gonna try this game, they're gonna dismiss it, or saying, "Oh, I didn't really like the first one." I implore you, just give the second one a try. Refresh your memory about what happened in the original, and just, well, I'll let you be the judge of it. I highly recommend buying this game while it is on sale, if it still is, hopefully. Just get the physical disc version if you can somewhere. I personally got the digital version because I have a digital PS5. sometimes during this game, it just felt like I don't want to stop right now. I want to keep going, and that's a common feeling in good video games. You want to find out what happens next. Now, were there times where I was like, holy shit, I gotta take a fucking break. This shit is too much right now. Of course. But did I go back to it? Of course. I know some of you out there who might follow the channel and you don't play video games. You don't read, you don't, in some cases, write. You don't explore like movies. And if you are an avid video gamer, if you thought part 1, the original, was okay, and you think you might not like part 2, let me tell you this. There's nothing not to like about part 2. But are you allowed to experience, are you allowed to feel different ways about different things in the story and whatnot, even some things not in the story? Of course. But if you play video games, you cannot pass up this game. Play part 1, see if you like it. Play the original if you need to refresh your memory, and get this fucking game. Now, for me personally, I was hesitant. I did not think that this is a game I have to get right away. I was willing to wait for a sale. I'm glad I didn't get it right away, because I feel like there would have been spoilers galore. Like, I did say I don't mind spoilers, but at the same time, I mean, do you know how much shit is spoiled by leaks from Genshin Impact? It is ridiculous. Like, I gave up trying to avoid them. But for this game, if someone ruins this game for you, you should never talk to that person again. I'm just saying, I mean, like that's like ruining The Sixth Sense for you. The Bruce Willis movie. The Haley Joel Osment. I don't know what else to say about this game. It consumed me. I wanted to get it done this weekend, at least, complete in game once overall. Just to see, what happens in the ending. And I did it. And I have no regrets. I lost a bunch of hours of sleep, but hey, tomorrow's another day. And tomorrow gets closer to part 3. Theoretically. It was, I don't know, man, like, of course not everything was perfect, but was it good? Was it more than acceptable? Again, I'll say it exceeded my expectations. Because what bothered me about the original was that it was just retrying things over and over and over. And there weren't as many collectibles, obviously, but I'm kind of sad that so far there's not going to be any more to the story. It's like, how much of this was in self-defense? How much of this was vengeance? I keep saying vengeance over and over because that's essentially what it is. Like, there's no other word for it. I mean, is it hateful? Of course. It's just like, people can't settle, man. People just want more and more over and over, just like Americans. enough is never enough. Have I been spoiled by American culture? Of course. If you ask me, I'll end this video with this, right? Sorry about that. I'll end this video with this, right? If you ask me, how would I have ended it? I don't know how to answer that, because there's so much to the story that could have went a different way, and it didn't. I'm gonna miss this one. I'll get the platinum. I'll check out the DLC. I'm gonna remember this one, and I'm gonna miss this one, because once I get the platinum, I'm gonna wonder, am I done? Is the story done? I'm sure online there's all this by now, at least now that the game's been out a while, like all this fan fiction and all this stuff. I don't know. I just wish. I wish I could have controlled everything in the game, and I could dictate how the ending changed, changes and whatnot. I could control every different scenario that could have happened. But that's not the way games work, and that's not the way life works. But hey, there's always that platinum, right? There's always that 100%, right? Including DLC. Alright guys, sorry this was just a long video, and it coincidentally is an hour. This is my second 1 hour rant about, I don't know, man. Alright guys, thanks for watching, thanks for hearing me out. Take care of yourselves and each other.